Anne of York, Duchess of Exeter, was the first child and eldest surviving daughter of Richard Plantagenet, 3rd Duke of York, and Cecily Neville. She was thus the eldest sister of Kings Edward IV and Richard III, and of Edmund, Earl of Rutland, Elizabeth of York, Duchess of Suffolk, Margaret, Duchess of Burgundy, and of George Plantagenet, 1st Duke of Clarence. Marriages and issue. Anne married twice and divorced her first husband. First marriage in 1447, aged 8 years old. Anne was married to Henry Holland, 3rd Duke of Exeter. During the Wars of the Roses, Exeter sided with the House of Lancaster against his wife's family, the House of York. Exeter was a commander at the great Lancastrian victories at the Battle of Wakefield and Second Battle of St. Albans. He was also a commander at the Lancastrian defeat at the Battle of Towton. He fled to the Kingdom of Scotland after the battle, and then joined Margaret of Anjou in her exile in France, Queen Consort of the Lancastrian King Henry VI. On the 4th of March 1461, Anne's younger brother Edward, Duke of York, was declared in London as King Edward IV. Exeter was attainted, but the new king gave his estates to Anne, with remainder to the daughter and Holland. Anne and Exeter separated in 1464 and divorced in 1472. During the re-adoption of Henry VI, Anne remained loyal to her brother Edward, and, in what seems to have been her only intervention in politics, worked hard to persuade her brother George, Duke of Clarence, to abandon the Lancastrian cause. If not decisive, her arguments certainly had some effect, and thus she played some part in Edward's restoration. Progeny of first marriage. By the Duke of Exeter, Anne had one daughter, Anne Holland, who was married in October 1466 at Greenwich Palace to Thomas Grey, 1st Marquess of Dorset, son of Edward IV. So Queen Elizabeth Woodville by her first husband. Lady Dorset died sometime between the 26th of August 1467 and the 6th of June 1474 without progeny. Grey subsequently married Cecily Bonville, 7th Baroness Harrington, another rich young heiress, by whom he had issue. Second marriage, and married secondly in about 1474 to Thomas St. Leger, a loyal follower of his brother-in-law King Edward IV. He took part in the Duke of Buckingham's attempted rebellion against King Edward's younger brother and eventual successor King Richard III, on the failure of which he was executed in 1483. King Edward IV had, however, in 1467 extended the remainder of most of the former Duke of Exeter's lands to his sister Anne and to any heirs of her body. Thus, if she remarried, any future children could inherit them. Progeny of second marriage. Anne died giving birth to her only daughter by Thomas Ann Street Leger, who due to the special remainder was heiress to the estates of her mother's first husband Henry Holland. She married George Manners, 11th Baron de Ros, and was mother of the royal favourite Thomas Manners, 1st Earl of Rutland. DNA and Richard III. In August 2012, a dig to find the remains of King Richard III took place in Greyfriars, Leicester. In September, it was reported that remains had been found during the dig. The remains were tested using the mitochondrial DNA of Canadian Michael Ibsen. Mitochondrial DNA is inherited unbroken from mother to offspring along a female line. Michael is a 17th-generation descendant of Anne of York by his mother Joy, herself a direct female descendant. The results of the DNA testing were officially announced on the 4th of February 2013, when University of Leicester researchers said that it was beyond reasonable doubt that a battle-scarred skeleton unearthed in 2012 was the king, who died at the Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485. death and burial, and died and was buried on the 1st of February 1476 in the St. Leger Chantry, forming the northern transept of St. George's Chapel, Windsor Castle, founded in 1481 by her husband, with 2 priests singing For Evermore. It was later named the Rutland Chantry in honour of her son-in-law George Manners, 11th Baron de Ros, father of Thomas Manners, 1st Earl of Rutland. A monumental brass in memory of Anne of York and her husband Sir Thomas St. Leger survives on the east wall of the St. Leger Chantry, inscribed as follows: Within these chapel lieth buried Anne Duchess of Exeter, sister unto the noble King Edward the Forte, and also the body of Sir Thomas Sellinger Knight her husband, which hath fund within these college a chanter with 2 presses siging For Evermore, on whose soul God have mercy, the which Anne Duchess died in the year of our Lord M30 and CCCCLXXV. The arms above and show her paternal arms of the Dukes of York. In the dexter half the royal arms of England, emphasizing the descent from Lionel of Antwerp, 1st Duke of Clarence, 3rd son of King Edward III, who married Elizabeth de Burgh, 4th Countess of Ulster. The daughter Philippa de Burgh married Edmund Mortimer, 3rd Earl of March, whose son Roger de Mortimer, 4th Earl of March, was the great-grandfather of King Edward IV. In the sinister half are shown in chief, or across gules, and in base, barry or in azure on a chief of the first 2 palettes between 2 base esquires of the second, over all and in escutcheon argent. Ancestors.